Hey guys, welcome to Flatirons Online. This week we're kicking off a series called The Perfect Life, and we're going to take a look and see what Jesus has to say about how this whole thing can work. So if you have any questions, reach out to us at flatironschurch.com, or you can find us on social media. Thanks, guys.
Hey, good morning, Flatirons. Welcome to everybody watching online. Let's all stand and worship our God together this morning. You, my God, forgive my sin. You, my God, heal my brokenness. In you, my God, my life redeemed. You crown me with love and with mercy. Sing, oh my soul. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. I will count every blessing I will never forget. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. Out of dust my life begins, free from shame. Now my soul will sing. Your breath, my God, has filled my lungs. My praise now will rise for all you have done. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. Yeah. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. I will count every blessing I will never forget. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. As high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is His faithful love. So great is His faithful love. As far as the sunrise lies beyond the west, He's taken our sins from us. He's taken our sins from us. As high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is His faithful love. So great is His faithful love. As far as the sunrise lies beyond the west, He's taken our sins from us. He's taken our sins from us. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. I will count every blessing I will never forget. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. We praise. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. Oh, yes. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. I will count every blessing I will never forget. Oh, my soul will praise the Lord. We praise you,
How great the chasm that lay between us. How high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. Sing the cross. The cross has spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. In Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Now of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Thinking the morning that sealed the promise. Come on. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Oh Jesus, yours is the victory. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope.
All right. Great morning. Thank you so much for singing with us today. We love for you to just take a moment and greet someone around you, shake someone's hand, give them a high five. You can have a seat.
Good morning, Flatirons. Hope everybody's doing great. It's nice to see you. Yep. All right. Hey, I want to say hi to everybody online, wherever you might be. And also, hey, Flatirons, would you help me welcome God Behind Bars and say what's up? What's up, guys? Yeah. Awesome. Hey, I'm so glad you guys are here today. I got a couple things for you. First, a couple weeks ago, we had baptism here. It was an amazing weekend. If you missed 2 weeks ago or last week, there's a little video we showed that had some highlights of that. It's really worth going online and checking out because that's why we do what we do, and it was an amazing weekend. So a bunch of you've been emailing me stories, and it's like, hey, my life looked like this. That weekend meant this to me, and I love those emails. I'm the world's worst emailer, anything administrative. I'm just bad at life. So if I haven't answered you, I'm going to. I'll get there. But please, if you have those stories, I love them. So keep sending those. I also love, so last weekend, if you missed church, I made fun of a band called One Direction. I think it's a band. Can you call that a band? Called One Direction. And it made at least one intern really, she cried, and I'm sorry, but life's tough. And at least one grown man was really mad. And I asked him, so just so you know, I'm not picking on him because I asked him, is it okay to talk about this at church? He said, yeah. Man, I am so sorry that you like One Direction. But I'll try, hopefully we'll never play another one of their songs, so I won't be able to make fun of them again, I promise, okay? So anyways, I'm glad you guys are here. Today we're gonna do this. Jim's sabbatical is almost over, and so we're gonna play country. Yeah, we can cheer for that, yeah. So we are gonna play some country music today to kind of set the stage and kind of warm us back up. Yeah, it's either country or it might be country and Western. You think it's both? Yeah, maybe it's both. Okay, so we're gonna do that. But I got a couple things for us first here today. First one's this. Somebody last night, they told me, you're a hyperbole machine because I said this, but it's not hyperbole, I mean this. We have the best kids ministry in the entire planet in this building. Right over there. We really do. We really do. And so last weekend I was walking through those rooms like I try to do every weekend and messing with people, saying hi, giving kids high fives. And I discovered that they have to close some of those toddler rooms because their numbers are getting too high for the amount of volunteers that they have. And so they have to shut it down at a certain point. It's like 50 kids in some of the rooms. And so here's my plea. So next weekend, we have a training for kids ministry. And my plea is this: if you have an extra hour a month or maybe an extra hour every other week, and you're interested in not just it's not just childcare, it's not babysitting, it's not just that. What it is joining a dynamic team that is teaching our kids who Jesus really is, something that I wish I had growing up that my kids get to experience. So if that describes your life, or maybe you're interested in that and you're like, I really don't have time, but I'll do it, I would love to see you next Saturday come out for their training, 6 o'clock in our old school space. Cool? Awesome. Hey, another thing, this is one of my favorite things. So Halloween's over, praise the Lord, right? And Christmas is coming up sooner than we know. Like any store you go into now is playing some of the most Christmassy music that I've ever heard in my life. But we have one more holiday. Don't skip Thanksgiving because it's a great day. You can sit around and watch football and basketball and eat until you explode. And so I don't want us to forget Thanksgiving. But in this town, we do a couple things with our partner called Sister Carmen right across town here. They're amazing people. If you don't know about Sister Carmen, they do a whole bunch of amazing things programmatically and also relationally to help people get back on their feet or to make it through tough times. And so it's our privilege as a church to partner with Sister Carmen. So every year we do this food drive in like late April, early May, and you guys show up so big every single time that we stock their pantries for like months on end. And so I love that. We're gonna do that again here in a few months. But this time of year, we do like a turkey and gift card drive for them. And here's why. There's people right next door to us, across the street from us, down the street from us, across town from us, whose families aren't able to have a great Thanksgiving meal because times are tough. And so last year, you guys showed up in such a way that a couple hundred families got to have Thanksgiving. There was so much left over that they also provided Christmas dinner for a bunch of people and then on into the new year. And so I know this about you guys. You give like nobody else. And so next weekend, as we show up in this building, we're gonna bring frozen turkeys or just money or gift cards to help bless the community around us. Just a couple bucks to make that big of a difference to the people that live right by us. Next weekend, Flatirons, let's show up and show Sister Carmen just how much we love our community and love them. Sound good? Cool, all right, awesome. Cool, so like I said, we're about to play some country and Western, so if you wanna yell yeehaw at least once, that's okay with me, I don't mind. But I'm gonna pray for us here in a second. I'm so glad you guys are here as we get ready to kick off this brand new series this morning. So God, I'm so thankful for you and who you are. I'm so thankful that we can walk into this place today, God, anywhere we are online, our friends that God behind bars, and God, maybe we're having an okay week, or maybe we're having a great week, or maybe we're having the worst day of our lives. And God, no matter what, we walk into this place and here's what we find. I'm not capable of figuring this stuff out on my own. God, I'm not capable of even going a couple of hours without doing something or saying something dumb. And so God, I know this about you. Jesus is that good. That in all my shortcomings and all my shortfalls and all of my all my things that I wish were different, Jesus is bigger and better all the time. I'm not enough, but Jesus is. And so God, I thank you this morning that we have Jesus, that we can be here today to learn something new and apply it to our lives in a really real way. We love you, we're thankful for him, and we pray it in his name. Amen.
They're there for your first year. They give you your first beer. When you get your heart broke, they're there for your worst year. Don't get you at all, but your apple don't fall too far from them. They own too much liquor and drink too much liquor. You'd wash your hands of them, but blood's always thicker. You might look just like them, that don't mean you like them, but you love them. Family is family, in church or in prison. You get what you get and you don't get to pick them. They might smoke like chimneys, but give you their kidneys. Yeah, friends come in handy, but family is family. They're there when you're married, divorced and remarried. You fall out of touch, but then someone gets buried, and you're right back together like no time has ever gone by. Can't live with or without them, and you might talk about them, but if someone else does, well, then you'll knock them out. Cause when it's all said and done, they're the only ones that you got. Family is family, in church or in prison. You get what you get and you don't get to pick them. They might smoke like chimneys, but give you their kidneys. Yeah, friends come in handy, but family is family. Yeah, family is funny, they'll ask you for money, even though they know you ain't got no money. They show up at Christmas, get up in your business. They might not be fancy, but family is family. Might look just like them, that don't mean you like them, but you love them.
All right. Hey, so for all you country music fans who have been dying for country in light of Jim's sabbatical, that one's for you. You're welcome. All the country fans are right here. Yeah, the worship team recommended that song a couple weeks ago, and I trust them to pick good songs, you know, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then I read the lyrics, and the lyrics were great. They tied into what we're talking about. I'm like, cool, no problem. And then I didn't actually listen to it, though, with my ears until mid this week, and when I did, I was horrified. I was horrified because it's country, and I found myself enjoying it. Her name's Casey Musgraves. I listened to a couple other songs on the album, songs that like aren't purposely hokey like that one, and those are pretty beautiful. And so I basically, this is a week where like I don't know who I am anymore. My conviction that country music is terrible has been challenged, and I feel cold and alone and sad. But anyway, hi. Hey, my name is Ben. I'm the teaching pastor. Glad you're here today. Especially if you're new, this is your first time here. Very glad you're here today. I'm going to say this right at the top before we jump in today, but I'm feeling ill. I'm feeling real ill. Like I settled in middle of services last night. I started to feel real dizzy and woozy, and I got a fever and all that stuff. I tell you that for two reasons. I got two asks, all right? The first one is this. I won't be out in the lobby after this. Usually I'm out in the lobby hanging out and you can come talk to me. I won't be out there today. The ask is simply, if this is a talk that brings some stuff up in you and you feel like you need to talk to a pastor today, we always have pastors on call out there. So just because I'm not standing out there doesn't mean there's no one to talk to. You just go straight to the info desk, ask for a pastor on call, and they'll connect you with someone. That's the first ask. The second ask is this. If I do pass out in the middle of this talk, please make that go viral. Like, let's not waste this moment as a church family, you know? Like, so I expect if I start to pass out, that you pull your phones out, you film it, and you post it on YouTube. That's what I would do if it were you. So please make that happen. Anyway, let's get started. So this is the first week of a brand new series we're in called The Perfect Life. This is a quick 3-week series before Christmas that's all about relationships, and specifically it's all about the F word, which is family, right? Not the other one. We're not that kind of church. But kind of we are. But anyway, it's about family. We all have family, right? So some of us got big families, some got small families. Some of us get along with our families, others of us don't. And we're also a big church. I know that we got lots of different kinds of families represented here. We got marriages, second marriages, third marriages, divorces. We've got blended families, strained families, adoptive families, and falling apart families. We all have family. And I bet that a lot of us could describe our family with some of the words that we just listened to in that song, right? We look at our family and we go, yeah, I can't live with them, but I can't live without them. But call me crazy, but I believe it's possible to live with them and live with them in a way that is strong and is healthy and is lasting. And so let me kind of give you a direction for where we're headed for the next 3 weeks in this series so that we're all on the same page. And to do that, you and I have got to start by talking about our culture. All right, we've got to address the fact that you and I live in strange times. What I mean by that is more than any other civilization to have ever inhabited this planet, you and I live in a culture that is obsessed with the picture perfect and instant gratification and a life of ease. Historically speaking, that makes for strange times. You understand that, right? Like, we are more capable of those things than anyone else to have ever lived on this planet. When you think about it, this is the picture perfect age. So we worship like celebrity culture as an example of that. These beautiful men and women who can sing really well or they can pretend well in front of a camera. And so we idolize them. We take photos of them and we put them on movie posters and magazine covers. Not only are they beautiful to begin with, but we then Photoshop and airbrush them to absolute perfection. It's strange times. This is also the age of instant gratification. Right, the motto of our culture is basically get what you want and get it now. And so we have Amazon Prime and overnight delivery because we want our new bed sheets now or whatever it is. Like, I want Tylenol extra strength now. We got Netflix and Hulu and HBO Go and million channel cable because I don't want to be bored when I go home today. Right? I don't want to sit in silence. I want to watch football now. I want to watch Shark Tank now. Right? There's also this dark side of instant gratification. That's what pornography is, for example. It's instant gratification. No time, no commitment, no connection, no relationship, just sex now. That's what Tinder and Grindr and every other app that's ripped those off is all about. It's instant gratification, just sex now. It's strange times. We also live in a culture of ease. This is the age of ease. Like, I'll probably do this today. Like today, I can go home and not leave my house and not cook dinner and not go hungry because we have things like DoorDash, right? You can get someone else to pick up my bloomin' onion for me or whatever. And you don't have to walk through the aisles at a grocery store anymore. We got ClickList. You just make an order and you go pick it up. Which, side note, if you are a family with little kids in your family and you don't know about ClickList, I promise you're not living your best life yet. You have to check it out. It's awesome. But we live in strange times, right? Like, we live in a culture that is forgetting, and we might have even forgotten how to operate outside of the picture perfect and instant gratification and ease. And I'm not out to curse all those things. Okay, I'm not being a doomsday prophet right now. I'm not saying they're all bad. In fact, I think those qualities are great for some things. Again, like deliveries and communicating with friends across the planet and stuff like groceries and good TV. I'm not saying it's all bad. I am saying that those qualities, picture perfect, instant gratification, and ease, those are terrible expectations when it comes to our families. Because family is simply none of those things. Family is not picture perfect, it's messy. And family is not instantly gratifying, it takes time. And family is not easy, it takes work. But how many of us falsely expected, like marriage, for example, to be all of those things? It's easy to do. Because, the dating phase is typically, for the most part, it's fun and it's new and it's fresh and it's exciting. And then you listen to the wise counsel of Beyonce, you liked it, and so you put a ring on it. And then the engagement season is a blast. Of course, the wedding, of course, is a party, right? You got all your friends and family there. But then a few days or weeks or months go by after the honeymoon and real life sets in. And you realize the two of you are just broken, messy people who have, for some crazy reason, decided to live under the same roof for the rest of your life and share everything like a bed and a toilet and a TV for the rest of your lives, which means men from now on, When you get in an argument with her, you can't drop her off after the date and drive home by yourself and watch the game. You can't do it anymore. You're married to her now. Right? And for the women in the room, you've got a man around all the time. Men are disgusting creatures. We know this about ourselves. Like, it's fine to admit it. We somehow just have gases coming out of all parts of our body. We like messy food. We snore, all that stuff. On top of that, like, we're not good with emotions. Typically, we're not good at talking about them or expressing them. Half the time, I don't know what I'm feeling in the first place. Right? Allie will be like, what do you feel about that? I'm like, I don't know, hungry? I'm not sure. See, when we get married, it doesn't take us long to realize, oh man, this thing is not going to be picture perfect or instantly gratifying or easy, but we had poor expectations. And so now we're trying to kind of adjust on the fly, and that's very difficult. And so in this series, what we're going to do is we're going to try and set up some healthy expectations for family. We're going to tackle the hard but necessary truth that the perfect life is a lie. Right? There's no perfect marriage out there. There's no perfect couple or perfect kids or perfect life. There is no perfect family, and that's okay. It means, first of all, you're not alone. All right? But see, our problem isn't that our families are not perfect. Our problem is that we expected them to be. And so over the course of the series, we'll talk about how family isn't picture perfect, and family isn't instant, and family isn't easy. And if family isn't any of those things, then what is it? And does God give us a good vision or a guideline for how to have the best shot at having a great family? Not a perfect one, but a great one. That's what we're going to talk about in this series. Now, quick note before we kind of get started in earnest today, it's this. Over the next 3 weeks, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about marriage and parenting, because the majority of us in this room are married and or have kids. But I want to say at the very beginning, the series is not a total wash if you are single or if you don't have kids, because at the end of the day, family is really just a group of relationships that you can't ever get away from. Right? They're waiting for you at home every day. They're flying in town for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and as much as you're going to want to, you can't run and hide. Family is really just a group of relationships. And so the principles that we're going to be talking about over the next 3 weeks, these can be applied across the board to any relationship that you've called important in your life. When we talk about marriage, you can apply this to friendship, for example, because at the end of the day, a really great marriage is first and foremost a really great friendship. And if you're dating, you can especially apply this stuff. I'm hoping over the next 3 weeks, you get a good picture of what a great marriage looks like according to God. And so apply this stuff with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. I guarantee you, your relationship will grow closer. And then for another person in the room, I want to talk to someone who is divorced or walking through a divorce. And I want you to hear right off the bat at the top of this thing, we are not the church that's going to shame you for that. We're not the church who's forgotten you. And we're not the church who doesn't know how to talk about what you're walking through, so we just avoid it. All right, again, this stuff can be applied to any relationship in your life. But if that's you, I really want you to hear specifically today that as we're talking about this stuff in this series, if it brings up some tough emotions, right, and it feels really close to home because of what you're walking through, I want you to hear we are a phone call away, all right? We are a conversation with the pastor in the lobby away. That's it. I mean, we're a big church, we know that, but we also pride ourselves in doing the best job possible to take care of and help anyone who steps forward and says they need it. And so if that's you, and over the course of this series, this is bringing up some old baggage and some old emotion, just give us a call, please. All right? So now let's get started in earnest, okay? Last night, at this part, I pretended to pass out. People were horrified. I thought it was funny. So I'm not going to do it again. Today, let's talk about some healthy expectations. Today, we're going to talk about the healthy expectation that family isn't picture perfect, right? And it's never going to be. So you can stop beating yourself up if your family is a mess right now. We're going to spend the next few minutes talking about the problem, and it might feel heavy to you. For some of us, it might feel convicting would be the right word, but Jesus brings hope into any problem. We're getting to the hope. We're getting to what Jesus says. But first, we got to talk about the problem, and the problem is that family isn't picture perfect. Family is messy. When you read through the Bible, you'll discover you don't find one single perfect family in that book. There's not a single one. And you walk through everyone. Like the very first two people, Adam and Eve, the first married couple, they, cursed the rest of humanity, thanks a lot. Their firstborn son, Cain, he murdered his brother. You got Abraham. Abraham's like the patriarch of the Israelite people. He's a very important guy in the Bible. Abraham pimped his wife out twice and slept with one of his servants. You've got David from the David and Goliath story. He committed adultery and murdered the lady's husband as a cover-up. Solomon is described in the Bible as one of the wisest men to have ever lived. He also unwisely married over 1,000 women. 1,000, literally. He makes that old Sister Wives show look like a walk in the park. Dude had 1,000 wives. Even Jesus' family was a train wreck, total train wreck. All right, 2 of Jesus' biographies have his family trees in them. And in those genealogies, you find drunks and adulterers and incest and prostitutes and murderers, to name a few. That was Jesus' family. The Bible is full of dysfunctional families. You can't find one single perfect family in the book. There's the big dysfunction that we talked about, like murder, adultery, drunkenness, incest, abuse. There's also the more mundane dysfunction that you and I encounter every single day of our lives. You see constant bickering and distrust and isolation and unhappiness and loneliness and lying, all of that stuff. And the reason you can't find any picture-perfect families in the Bible is because the Bible is about real people. And real people are broken and hurting and hurtful and messy. And our families are made up of real people. And so our families are broken and hurting and hurtful and messy because family isn't picture perfect. And even though we should expect that, we seem to spend a lot of time and energy pretending to be perfect, don't we? We just have this expectation that our marriages and our kids and our families should be further along than they currently are, and we feel insecure about that. So then we feel a pressure to pretend that we are where we want to be or to pretend that we're perfect. We tell ourselves, we go, maybe if I keep saying I'm okay enough times, we will become okay. Here's kind of a picture of this, all right? So I don't know about you, but nearly every family photo I've taken with Allie and my kids is basically not a good representation of how we're doing that day. You know, because the picture might look like Allie and myself and my 3 kids smiling at the camera, but in reality, that's usually a 1-second miracle in time that is surrounded by mass chaos. If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. You know, the minutes leading up to taking that photo, I'm just shouting at everyone. You know, I'm like, stop crying and pretend to be happy and stop spitting on your brother and smile. You know, smile or I'll take your bed away from you. That kind of stuff. Like a good dad. And then it's just like cheese, click, and then it's back to mass chaos, right? That's like every family photo that we've ever taken. At the same time, that's a pretty good metaphor for how we approach life as a family. We feel the pressure to pretend for little snapshots throughout the day and throughout the week. This is why when you're walking in your office or whatever, someone passes you in the hallway and they're like, hey man, how you doing? You've got this immediate habitual reply, good man, how are you? It's a defense. You know, we don't want you prying, right? I don't want anyone to know that maybe we're not doing well. This is why we feel insecurity when we scroll through Facebook and Instagram. You know, her house is beautiful and her kids are doing well in school and his job obviously pays more than mine. Their family is perfect and mine is not. We feel insecure. And then we feel a pressure to post our own perfect pictures of our lives and our families. We're trying to compete. We're telling ourselves we're okay, hoping that it will come true. We're pretending. We're saying to ourselves and to our families, we're going, okay, guys, let's pull it together. Got to be on our best behavior. Why? Because we're going to church for an hour, or we're going to hang out with this other family, or I got to sit around all these other parents at my kids' football games. We got family coming in town, so pull it together and be on your best behavior. We're pretending. And this pretending thing gets really damaging when we start pretending, not just with people who are outside of our family, like other families and other people, but when we start pretending within our own family. When you tell your spouse you're doing fine, but you're not. Or when your kids tell you that everything's fine, but it's not. When you or your immediate family, your kids, your spouses, your parents start pretending like everything's picture perfect with each other, it's a dangerous road. And I just know this from personal experience. I'm a perfectionist. All right, to a T. You know, like anything less than an A+ is like not good enough, you know? An A- is as good as failing in my mind, and I hate being a failure. And so anytime I screw up, I go into instant guilt and shame. And typically, anytime I screw up, I go instantly into hiding. I don't want anyone to know I messed up. I don't want anyone to know I failed, especially Allie. I don't want to hurt her. Right? I don't want to let her down. It's this habit and response that she's aware of, and her and I are trying to break, but it's a habit, and old habits die hard. And maybe the perfectionism thing doesn't ring true, but maybe the hiding thing does. There's just a lot of us in the room. We have parts of our lives that we're hiding from our wives or hiding from our husbands or hiding from our kids. In turn, for the younger people in the room, the students in the room, there's parts of our lives that we're hiding from our parents. And if the hiding goes unchecked, sure, for a time, everything will seem perfect. And we're telling ourselves and everyone else that we're okay and they're buying it. But we know what's really going on. We know because we've been there or we're there right now. And we know that the hiding is creating more guilt and shame and isolation and loneliness and distance. And we already know. We know that the hiding, the pretending, it can't last forever. It won't last forever. It'll drive us nuts, or we'll get caught, or we'll catch our kids. And we already know that the longer we've been in hiding, the more damage we're doing to our families. Everything will boil over one time, and it'll seem like it came out of the blue, even though it didn't, but it'll seem like before you know it, you're telling your husband or you're telling your wife that you're having an affair, and the damage done is overwhelming. My question is simply, could things maybe have looked different if you were able to have an honest conversation years ago with your spouse about your unhappiness or your loneliness or your struggles with pornography, whatever it is for you? Or your kids get pulled over and they get a DUI, right? And you're shocked and the damage done is overwhelming. My question is, could things have looked different if only your family was the kind of family where it was safe to be not perfect? It was safe to be messy. Could things have looked different if years ago your kid felt safe enough to tell you about the first drink she ever had at a party? See, the hiding and the pretending with each other and with other people, the longer we do it, the more damage that's done to our families. So why are we doing this to ourselves? And why are we doing this to our families? Well, typically it's because we've bought into the lie that our family was supposed to look picture perfect. Or you bought into the lie, or maybe you were even outright told that you need to be picture perfect as mom or as dad and husband and leader of your home, but you're not picture perfect, and so you start pretending because you're trying to live up to this unreasonable expectation of yourself. And so what's the alternative? Right? Is there a better way to do this family stuff? And does Jesus have anything to say about this picture-perfect lie stuff? Well, if you read through Jesus' biographies, you discover that Jesus actually has very little patience for people who are pretending to be perfect. In fact, Jesus' harshest words that he ever says in the Gospels are always aimed at people who are being hypocrites. Hypocrite is just someone who says they believe something that they actually don't, or it's someone who's pretending to be someone that they're not. At one point, Jesus is talking about this group of people called the Pharisees. Pharisees were basically people who had my job back in Jesus' day. They were religious teachers. And Jesus goes on this tirade about them because they're pretending to be perfect. They're being hypocrites. And Jesus says this. He says, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You clean the outside of the cup and the dish. So the thing that everyone else can see, you make sure that's clean. You're pretending to be perfect, but on the inside of the cup and the dish, you're full of greed and self-indulgence, you blind Pharisee. First clean the inside of the cup and the dish. First work on your mess, and then the outside also will be clean." And he keeps going and he goes, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You're like whitewashed tombs. You're like these beautiful mausoleums. You look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside you're full of dead men's bones and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people as righteous, as good, as perfect, but on the inside you're full of hypocrisy and wickedness." Those are harsh words, some of the strongest words that Jesus ever said in the Bible. At the same time, they're words that probably a lot of us resonate with. Because how many of us, myself included, we have spent a lot of time cleaning the outside of the cup and the dish. We're pretending really well, so we look good from the outside looking in, but we know the truth. And we know the truth that on the inside, we feel dirty or we feel dead. For a lot of us, we get what Jesus is saying there, like on a whole other level, because we've been pretending. My question is, why is Jesus so harsh about that? Why is he so strong about pretending to be perfect? Well, it's because at the end of the day, Jesus will not work with a pretend version of yourself. We've talked about that in here before. He won't work with the hypocrisy. He won't work with the secrecy and the hiding. Instead, he'll work with your mess. He wants the real you. In fact, the Bible puts it like this. It says the sacrifices of God. So the things that you can offer God that will please him are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, O God, you will not despise. What does Jesus want? He wants your honesty. He wants your vulnerability. And he wants you to come clean, and he wants you to approach him and say, here is the mess I've made. I am sorry. Can you help me fix it? Every single time he says, you are forgiven, and yes, I can help you fix it. He doesn't want the picture-perfect version of you or your family. Instead, Jesus wants your mess, because your mess is something Jesus can work with. And even though the idea of bringing our mess out into the open sounds risky, when it comes to Jesus, it's actually not. And that's because it's safe to be messy with Jesus. And it's safe to be messy with Jesus because of something called mercy, right? Mercy is a gift that he gives us. And mercy means that Jesus will not keep you pinned down to the mat every time you screw up. And so Jesus says it's safe to be messy with him. In fact, he says you can be confident when you hand him your messes. Bible says it like this. It says, let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. So in the times when we are the most needy and the most broken and the most messy, we can be confident that God will give us mercy. Why can we be so confident of that? Well, it's because God actually enjoys being merciful. Bible describes God this way, and it says this, you, God, you don't stay angry forever. Instead, you delight to show mercy. Jesus doesn't want the pretend picture-perfect version of yourself or your family. He just won't work with it. Instead, Jesus wants your honesty and your vulnerability because he wants you to be free from the lying and the hiding and the pretending and the secrecy. Jesus wants your mess because Jesus enjoys giving you mercy. It's safe to be messy with Jesus. There's a lot of us sitting in the room, we might be going, okay, cool, check mark. You know, Jesus wants the real me. He wants the mess. He doesn't want the pretend me. What does this have to do with my family? And over the course of the next few weeks, I think what we're going to see is that when it comes to family, if we want our families to be healthy and to be strong and to be lasting, then our best shot at that is if they model the way that Jesus treats us. Which means if we want a shot at a family that lasts according to God, if we want something better than the loneliness and guilt and shame and isolation and distance that has come with pretending to be perfect, if we want something better than that, then we gotta stop hiding. We gotta be free from that. We gotta be honest and we gotta be vulnerable. In other words, family takes mercy. And mercy means your family is a safe place to be messy. Family takes mercy. It takes real mercy. Real mercy is the kind where someone you care about is honest and vulnerable with you. And even if it hurts, you look at them and you go, nope, I'm not going to punish you. And no, I'm not going to hold a grudge against you forever. I'm not going to use your vulnerability against you. You know, like make you pay for being honest. Instead, I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to give you mercy. And even though you've greatly hurt me, I'm committed to the two of us figuring out a way forward from this. That's real mercy. And family takes real mercy. It's got to be a safe place to be messy. And if our families become a safe place to be messy now, we'll discover over time that it will save us from a ton of way bigger messes later down the road. Why? How is that possible? Well, it's because your husband will feel safe enough now to talk about his struggle with pornography or the overwhelming pressure of having to pay the bills month in, month out, whatever it is. He'll feel safe enough to talk to you about that now before the affair or the drinking or the vast distance between the two of you becomes a reality. If your family is a safe place to be messy now, your wife will feel safe enough to talk to you about the loneliness or the lack of connection or the stress of raising the kids, whatever it is. She'll feel safe enough to talk to you about that now before the affair or the drinking or the vast distance between the two of you becomes a reality. And if our families become safe places to be messy now, maybe our kids will actually be honest with us when they screw up. Maybe they'll actually seek our wisdom now and seek our advice now because they know it's safe to be messy at home. Listen, family is not picture perfect. Family is messy. That's just the truth, and it's never gonna change. And so the real question is simply, is your home a safe place to be messy? Because if we want a shot at a family that'll last and stay strong, then Jesus tells us family takes mercy. Your family's gotta be a safe place to be messy, and if it becomes that, we receive freedom. Freedom from lying and hiding and secrecy and all the guilt and shame that comes with that. And we receive freedom from way bigger messes later down the road. And so the challenge for us today is this, all right? If you're willing to follow Jesus' lead on this one, then what is one thing you could do to make your home a safe place to be messy? What is one small step in that direction that you can make this week? You know, maybe it's just a conversation between you and your spouse. Like, do it today, man, before you lose the guts. Conversation between you and your spouse where you say you commit to bringing all the hidden mess out into the open and you commit to meeting that mess with mercy. Or maybe it's a similar conversation with your kids, right? Do it today before you lose the guts. You sit them down and you say, listen, it's safe to be messy here. I don't want you to hide from me. I want to know about your life. I promise I'll meet your messes with mercy. Maybe it's a commitment to like a once a week check-in kind of thing. All right, something like, every Thursday night you eat dinner as a family, and as you eat dinner, you're gonna check in with each other. How's everybody doing, and what are we struggling with, and how can we as a family support each other, encourage everyone to be honest, and go first, especially the men. The dads, the husbands in the room, go first, model what it looks like to be honest, and model what it looks like to share mercy. Or maybe, if you're one of those people who's had a mess hidden for a really long time and it feels far too big and far too overwhelming, I get you, I've been there. Maybe your first step is just a phone call to the church or a conversation with the pastor in the lobby, right? Again, we're a big church, but we're committed to taking care of you. We would be honored to help you walk through your mess. That's one of the things we do as your church. Maybe that's your first step towards honesty and vulnerability. Listen, it could look like 1,000 different things, all right? I'm not gonna stand up here and list hypotheticals because you're adults. So you can decide whether or not you wanna take that risk and you can decide what it might look like for you. But the challenge is this: what is one thing you can do to make your home a safe place to be messy? Next week, we'll dig even deeper into what Jesus says makes for a healthy and strong and lasting family. But for now, for today, for this week, are we willing to take one step away from the hiding and away from the secrecy and pretending, and away from the everything's okay, picture perfect lie? And are we willing to take one step towards honesty and vulnerability, one step into the mess, and one step into the mercy? Jesus says if we're willing to do that, we will find freedom. Now, before we pray and sing and get out of here, I wanna leave you with something, all right? I wanna leave you with an image, a picture in your mind. It's this picture that I think is this awesome metaphor for what Jesus does with our brokenness and our mess, and I think it's an awesome metaphor for what our families could look like if our homes became safe places to be messy. All right, so there's this Japanese art form called kintsugi. It's called kintsugi. The only reason I know what kintsugi is there's this band I like called Death Cab for Cutie. They put out an album called Kintsugi. I was like, what is that? I Googled it, and thankfully it wasn't some weird, creepy branch of anime art. Instead, it was kintsugi, and here's what kintsugi is. All right? So let's say you got a really important set of dishes or some pottery, something like that. Like picture your grandma's china cabinet, right? You've got these heirlooms that have been passed down from generation to generation through your family. They're very important. And let's say one day you knock one of those over and you shatter it to 1,000 pieces. Well, in Japan, instead of super gluing the thing back together so that it looks perfect again, or instead of just cutting your losses and throwing the whole thing away, you might repair it with the art form known as kintsugi. And kintsugi is this method where they mend all the broken pieces back together using a lacquer that's got gold in it, sometimes silver, sometimes platinum, but usually gold. And not only does it look cool when it's done, but there's actually this whole philosophy behind why the Japanese people use kintsugi to repair objects. And the philosophy is this: they say rather than disguising or hiding the brokenness of an object, they treat the breakage and then the repair as part of the history of the object. And they treat the breakage and repair as something that makes it more beautiful. And they treat the breakage and repair as something that makes it more valuable because now it has gold in it. Basically, kintsugi is an art form that says instead of hiding the brokenness, we will glorify the repair. And that is the perfect picture for what Jesus does with us. Jesus' relationship with us is one where Jesus glorifies himself by repairing our brokenness. It's one where our lives become more beautiful and more valuable, not because we've never been broken and not because we're hiding our brokenness really well, but we become more beautiful and more valuable because we are broken. And Jesus is repairing us. And I know that's true of Jesus' relationship with us. I also believe it's true of our relationships with our families, our wives, our husbands, our kids, our parents, our friends, you name it. I believe that if our families become a safe place to be messy, Jesus will start repairing us. And as he repairs us, we will become more beautiful and more valuable, not because our families are perfect, but because our families are broken and Jesus is fixing us. The question for today is, are we willing to trust him in that? And are we willing to take a step towards mercy and a step towards the mess? Or are we going to keep pretending? Are we going to keep hiding? Let's pray. God, I want to pray right away, immediately, I want to pray especially for anyone in the room who feels convicted. God, for anyone in the room who has had a mess that they've kept hidden for a long time, they've kept it hidden really well. God, I've been there, I've done that. I know what that's like, and it's lonely and it's isolating. God, I want to pray for anyone who feels convicted. God, can you please make the truth of your mercy and the truth of your grace and the truth of your forgiveness a reality in their hearts and their minds? God, I pray for the strength and courage that it's going to take to begin being honest about their mess. And God, I pray for the people who are surrounding them, their families and their friends. I pray that you'll give them an extra dose of mercy and grace this week. God, I do want to thank you for being the kind of God who is a merciful God. You are a perfect, righteous judge. And at the same time, you share perfect, righteous mercy with us. You're the kind of God who says, when you break your lives into 1,000 pieces, I will repair you in a way that's more beautiful and more valuable to me. God, thank you for being that way. God, I thank you for Jesus who makes that possible for us. I thank you for Jesus who makes you a safe place to be messy. God, I thank you for this church, Flatirons, where it's a safe place to be messy. Over the next couple of weeks, God, what I'm praying for is the kind of families and the kinds of homes where it's safe to be messy. God, allow us to pull our mess out of secrecy, out of hiding, and allow it to be met with mercy. God, I thank you so much for who you are. God, I thank you for the truth you give us, even if it hurts a little bit at first. It's always good, and it always leads to freedom. God, help us to lean into that. And again, thank you for your son, Jesus Christ, for making all of this possible for us. It's in his holy name that I pray right now. Jesus Christ, amen.
Spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99 that I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God, yeah. So good to me. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so good to me. Oh yes you have. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, no lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, no lie you won't tear down, coming after me.